Hi, this is Fenocchi with emusicworkshop.com. Today we're going to talk about a real simple mod that we're going to do on this Telecaster, and you can do it to a Strat, Les Paul, etc. It's pretty easy to do it on a Tele. The control cavity comes out easy, you don't have to take the strings off or anything. And what we're going to do is a treble bypass mod, which will eliminate high-end loss when rolling your volume down. Now, some players prefer this, some players don't. If you find that you're playing in a low volume situation and you need to keep your volume down and you don't want any high-end loss, this may be for you. So what we'll do, I've already removed the screws of our plate, and with this Telecaster, it's real easy to just flip this upside down. Be careful not to disconnect any wires, and you can see it stays pretty stable in this canal here. Now, to eliminate any solder from hitting the top of the guitar or dropping tools on it, just to protect it, I take a rag or a cloth, just kind of go around it like that, sort of like surgery, and you're ready for action. So let's get started. All right, let's check out the tools and the parts you'll need to complete this job. First of all, the parts you'll need are two parts. You need a capacitor and a resistor. This is a 560 picofarad resistor. Okay, and then you'll have a 300K ohm resistor. You can get these at DigiKey, Mouser, Small Bear Electronics, or maybe even an electronics store that's close to your home. Just watch the codes here. So on the resistor, it's orange, black, yellow. And my picofarad is 561K. Okay. Now, the tools you'll need, very simple. Soldering wand, Phillips head screwdriver, basically just to take your screws out of the control plate, which I've already done, and maybe some solder. You will need the solder to combine your capacitor and resistor together. I've seen some people tie them together and leave it. Let's go ahead and secure it with solder. Also, I'm going to use this little piece of foam to stick my component in while I'm soldering, something to hold on to it. You can use the helping hands, little banana clips, whatever. This is perfectly fine. Makes for a nice little accessory. And wire cutters to cut off the excess wire you won't be using on the two components that you solder together. And these are just basic wire cutters. You have the flat side. You can get nice and close. That's the side I like to use. And then there you see the concave side, which you'll just know that that's a set of wire cutters. So some pretty basic tools. All right, so with our two components here, we need to connect these together. Now we want to connect these in parallel. So basically piggybacking. What you're going to do is have them like this. So this leg and this leg will be tied together. This leg and this leg will be tied together. And you're going to want to secure them with solder, so we will need the solder. I've seen some folks do it without the solder, but let's go ahead and do that. So it's good to have that with us. All right. This is in series when you have one leg only to the next leg, like a daisy chain. Here we want it parallel. We don't want it piggybacked. So this is the way we're going to do it. You just lay it across, probably on the bottom, okay, underneath, and then you just start twisting these guys together 2 times. You don't want to do it too many. And come around the other side, do the same way. Just twist it. Okay, so you have them together. Alright, so I've combined my two components together. Another thing you might want to use is a piece of foam or a little sponge to stick the other legs in that are heading straight down, and these will be the legs that we use to connect to our potentiometer. This just makes for a working surface. You can also lay it down on something else, but this really helps. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of solder on the end of my soldering tip. Get a contact right where the wind is, and then just combine a little solder on the tip and the component. There you go. It should be shiny. I'll turn this around to the other side. So again, just contact. There you go. Just needs a little bit. Now that just secures its connection. All right, after you're done with that, let's take a pair of wire cutters, which you'll also probably need, and snip off the excess. These will be the legs that are sticking out from the capacitor. Now you're set. There's your piece of gear. All right, so the next step, we're back over to our guitar, and this is the volume potentiometer. This is the tone. We don't want to touch that. Make sure you're on the volume. And there should be one lug that's grounded to itself, to the top of the pot, and the other two should have wires coming out. These are the two lugs we're going to use. So one of the legs will go on one lug, one will go on the other. All right, and we'll trim our piece as soon as we know how long we need it. First of all, I'm going to prepare our lug here. So this wire is a little high. I'm just going to heat up the back side and then push it down a little bit so we got room. Makes a little bit better so we can have a surface. And don't be afraid to bend some of these wires down. If they come loose, just resolder them. Just watch where you're at. This one looks pretty good. I think we're all right with this one. So we're going to solder here and here. So let's take our piece and we'll figure we're going to want it about like that. Don't cut it too short because you're going to maybe need to bend. Yeah, should be really easy to bend. You can use pliers, needle nose. Okay, now you've basically got your spacing correct. So this is where the tricky part comes. You have to do one leg at a time. I'm going to do the inside. Just heat it up. And I'm just pushing up against it. There it goes, it's in. Let that dry. Okay, you have to do one at a time. You can't do two because the solder heats up and then it cools off. So we have one connection. Wires connected, that's connected. Now, we line this up again with our other leg to our lug. Do the same thing. Heat up the back side while you're pushing. There you have it. It's connected. Now if you think it's too long, it's kind of hanging out there, that's probably fine. But go ahead and do the same. Heat up the other side. Be careful not to just push it in. A little shorter. Then you'll of course snip off your excess. There you have it. Let it dry. Double check all the wires and connections. That's fine. Now last step. Is to snip off your excess. I'm using a pair of wire cutters and I'm using of course the flat side, not the concave side. Get up as close as you can. Get up there and then snip it off. There you have it. There's your treble lead bypass. All right, now it's time to put the guitar back together. Lift up, take your rag away, carefully twist. Make sure all your wires are still connected. That everything is, you don't want to stuff it in there. If something's preventing it from going in, come back out. You find a wire that's hung up somewhere. Gently press in. There you go. Again, the Telecaster is very easy to work on in the control cavity. That is. Start your screws.
And that's it. You're done.
All right, so keep watching. We'll be doing more basic guitar repair and maintenance on emusicworkshop.com.